Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to our info session on Business Management Certificate for the Spring-Summer 2026 term. My name is Mushur Chaudhry, and I'm the Manager of Recruitment and Sales for the Chang School. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe Mississaugas and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. I thank the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. The microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or our presenter. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And you can submit your questions for our speaker at any time by typing them into the question box of the control panel. We'll collect them throughout the session and address them after the presentation during Q&A. Before we invite our speaker, I'd like to run a quick poll with everyone just to check the temperature of the room. So allow me to share my screen and get this poll ready. So it's a Mentimeter poll. If you can just take your phones out or jump on a browser and go to menti.com. The code is 84961525. So it'll just take a couple of seconds and provide us some good feedback for our team and for our guest speaker Neha as well. And yeah, we'd just like you to answer a couple of questions that we have in the poll. The first one is, what motivated you to consider the certificate? And we have a few options there: career advancement, career change, skill building for current role, personal interest, and other. So it looks like we've got one vote currently for career advancement. And we'll leave that on just a few more seconds, and we've got just one more quick poll for everybody. Like I said, thank you again for whoever is participating. It just gives us some good feedback for the future sessions. All right, so we'll leave that on for just a few more seconds and move on to the next one. Okay, it looks like career advancement is the main one so far. And for the next question, it's what's your current level of knowledge in this field? So if you have a background in business management or your level of knowledge, we've got a few options there. High, I'm well informed in the field. Moderate, I have basic awareness, and low, I have no or minimal knowledge, which is totally fine as well. Okay, so yeah, looks like we've got a few more people joining in. Thank you for doing that. Um, Once again, the website is menti.com and the code to enter is 84961525. And okay, looks like we've got three votes currently for moderate basic awareness and one for minimal or no prior. So we'll leave that on as well for just a couple of more seconds, and then we'll end this poll and get to our presentation.
If you could go on the previous poll as well, just to get a sense of whether people have also voted on that.
Yeah, we didn't initially get a lot of votes on that, but yeah, everyone can definitely go on and put their entries in.
Again, this information is just really helpful for us to sort of guide the kind of dialogue and conversation we have today. So this would be really, really helpful. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so lots of career advancement, one for career change and one for skill building in current role. All right. Well, thank you all for taking part in that. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and pass it back to Randall for the presentation. Awesome. Well, now I want to introduce our speaker for today, Neha Takurdas, Program Specialist at the Chang School. Neha will now share a quick overview of the certificate and how it can help you develop the skills you need and learn more about business management. Welcome, Neha.
Thank you, Mashira. Thank you for passing it on. Welcome all. I was excited that some of you actually did decide to finally participate in the poll because that really helps me understand where everybody's coming from. And also, like as we go into this presentation, we'll of course have Q&A, and I would like to leave as much time possible for you to be able to ask questions, make it interactive, and basically leave here where you are almost registering into the certificate right after you get off this presentation. That's the whole objective of it. So thank you again, and I'm glad you could join us here today. So this is the business management certificate that is offered at the Chang School. This certificate has been developed in collaboration with the Ted Rogers School of Management, ensuring that the learning that is delivered by the certificate is aligned with degree level expectations while still being accessible and flexible. So this certificate has been designed really mimicking the foundational knowledge that you would get in a business degree or a Bachelor of Commerce or a business administrative degree. And in saying that, this certificate plays a significant role for especially for people who are looking to either career change, career advancement, or even pivot into a different direction or enhance their knowledge of it. It expands your accessibility into the space of business education. So this is also particularly designed for people and learners who may not follow a traditional academic path. So whether it has been a while since you were last at a post-secondary institution, or you attended one and you stopped, or you have attended, completed a degree, been out of it for a while, wherever you are in your academic journey, this certificate is really designed to help you meet wherever you may be. So, at its core, the certificate program is designed to meet learners where they are. That could mean someone building on prior education, like I mentioned, returning to school after time away, or exploring a completely new career direction. There is no single starting point, and that's the intention behind the certificate, and especially the way it has been designed. The fully online and flexible format of the certificate is a key part of the accessibility of this. And this was again designed with keeping with learners in mind. Learners can balance their studies alongside work, family, and other commitments. So whether they choose to take one course at a time or move more quickly, you have the flexibility to learn in a way that fits your life rather than the other way around. At the same time, the certificate maintains a strong sense of structure and academic rigor because our purpose is to equip our learners with knowledge that will actually be transferable and useful. It is not just about filling a checkbox, but really giving you the skills that you can truly be tested in the job market. It provides a clear introduction to business fundamentals while also helping you build confidence in a university level learning environment, which is especially important for those who may be re entering education or are looking to, or have been out for a while, or have not even started and are looking to explore. Importantly, the certificate is not just a collection of courses, it is a pathway, and I will elaborate on my next slide why I'm referring to the word pathway. Learners are earning recognized university credits that can be applied towards further study or just completing the certificate as a whole. So, whether you choose to continue part time, transition into a full time degree, or a part time degree, you're already building momentum towards the goal that you want to accomplish by enrolling in this certificate. So when we look at the overall value of the certificate, it is really the combination of flexibility, credibility, and really pushing you forward in the right direction that you need to be wherever you may be in your career or academic journey. This program empowers learners to make meaningful steps, whether that's advancing in your career, developing new skills, or confidently transitioning into a business degree, which may have been a long-term goal for many people, or even a long forgotten goal. So knowing that every course that you take in the certificate will count towards this intentional journey of yours is a very important attribute of this certificate. And again, this is very much designed in collaboration with the Ted Rogers School of Management that attests to its credibility, but also the education you will be getting as a part of it. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned briefly, this certificate is really a pathway. And again, the way I would like to describe it is the certificate is best understood as a starting point in a larger journey for any learner rather than just being a single destination. And the pathway that I have designed is just describing that. So, I often like to compare this whole pathway analogy to using a navigation app. I mean, in 2026, we're using different things like Google Maps, Waze, or even just, following directions that somebody has given us. So if you think about pathways almost as guiding through your journey to a destination, um, this is how this pathway has been designed, keeping in mind with that analogy. So imagine using a navigation app and you enter your destination. The system generally doesn't tend to give you one route. It offers multiple options. You can take the highway for speed, you can take local roadway for flexibility, or you can even take a toll route and spend the money on it for efficiency. The key is that you make the choice and you choose the path that best fits your needs and preferences. And that's the same way I like to think about this certificate. The business management certificate works very much in that same way. It opens up a range of pathways, allowing you to decide how you want to move forward based on your goals, timelines, and life circumstances. For some of you, the highway might be the most direct route, using the certificate as a pathway into the TMU Bachelor of Commerce degree program, where you can enter with an advanced standing and continue towards a degree. And again, this program has been designed where you are actually taking courses that are directly in line with the first year foundational requirements of the BCom program. So the way we would look at it is you start by enrolling today at the Chang School for the certificate, and you start enrolling in some of the certificates that are offered through this program. You can then continue on to complete your certificate requirements and get the certificate, or sometimes students even use this as a buffer to get the credits they want, show academic prowess and performance, and move forward. So you can, again, I would like to say that the flexibility is there. You don't have to think about the idea that you absolutely have to complete the certificate. But what happens when you do complete a certificate? What does the destination look like afterwards? You can, of course, pursue additional certificates, and that's benefiting from our multiplier effect policy that we have in place at TMU at the Chang School, and I will elaborate on that as well. You can apply to the TMU BCom Business Management program, again, which is offered in part-time and full-time format, or you could simply just graduate and amplify your resume and really send the signal, the ones that indicated in the poll, the learners that indicated in their poll that they were really just looking to advance their career. This might just be the full stop that you need to advance your career and amplify your resume by adding a qualification on there. You could also, again, going back to our multiplier certificate effect policy, you could actually use 50% of the courses, as long as they're comparable and match with the requirements. You could complete a second certificate at Chang School. So I'm going to elaborate on this whole pathway one more time. So this pathway has been designed, again, keeping true to our ethos of recognizing that everybody comes into this program with different life circumstances, different objectives, different goals, and of course, sometimes not even knowing whether what they want to do. I mean, imagine if, you're 21 or even 18 and you're being asked, well, what do you want to do in the next 10 years? The world around us is changing so sporadically This is something that will give you the ability to choose as you move forward. I think choice is the mantra for 2026, and the pathway has been designed in a way to give you that flexibility and choice. So, recapping on this pathway again, when we begin, if you see the slide, we begin on the left where you start at the Chang School and then you enroll in the business management certificate. This serves as an accessible entry point into our university level business education, particularly valuable for learners who may be exploring their options, returning to study, or just looking to upskill. Once you complete the certificate, you can make an important decision whether you want to continue on by taking other certificates and padding on your qualifications and even picking a different direction, or you can go ahead and bridge over to the part-time or full-time degree options. And again, the multiplier effect, which I have referred to at least two or three times at this point now, it's simply the way I would look at it is stacking credentials. So you can finish the certificate and you can transfer over to an accounting certificate, or you can take over our information technology management certificate. Those certificates of stackability allow you to deepen your expertise and broaden your skill set, increasing your competitiveness in the job market, especially if that is where you are in your journey and you're looking to amplify and really come across to an employer that you have multiple transferable skill sets. So, this also allows you, depending on where you're coming from in your learning journey, to build on what you already know, or maybe just starting to explore if you don't know anything about the business program. And lastly, the pathway is really about choice and ownership. Like I said, in the current market, the job market, the current economic times we're in, I think choice is really, really important. The fact that you can go into something knowing that there is not just one single destination or one single pathway or route, or let's say you face a traffic on the highway, you know that there is an exit coming up and you can pivot and go into a different direction, but still get to your destination. I think that's really, really important, especially if we're talking about it from the perspective of financial cost undertaking education. Having choices is really, really important. I have found this to be very, very helpful and useful for a lot of learners as we speak to them and talk to them about, when I came into the certificate, I was undecided, but having the choices allowed me the flexibility to make up my mind as I continued on into the certificate. So keeping where you are today in mind, but also where you may end up in the future and having that flexibility is what I really appreciate about this program. And this is what I would say is one of the distinctive features of this program compared to other offerings that would be at other academic institutions or even other certificates. So keeping the choice and flexibility as a core at the core of it. I want you to keep that in the back of your head as we progress through this presentation. And as you are maybe on the weighing scale and thinking, oh, should I go ahead and enroll today or should I enroll tomorrow? When you are thinking about this, just remember the choice and flexibility part of it. Next slide, please. So this slide actually highlights the core business areas that any learner who is enrolled in the certificate would be exposed to throughout the certificate. So one of the key strengths of this program is that learners don't just study business in silos. Instead, they take courses across a variety of subject areas, including economics, global management, human resources, marketing, law, entrepreneurship, and more. The intention behind this is very deliberate. And again, this mimics what a first year, generalized Bachelor of Commerce program would look like, where students are being exposed to different areas before they can decide what to specialize in. Because for some of you who indicated in the poll, I have no prior knowledge. This is exactly what this is for. This is to get the exposure you need to decide what area of specialization you want to advance into and further refine your interest in. So business and practice is actually very interconnected. Decisions made in one area, like marketing, impact operations, finance, and people management, which is HR. So also by engaging with multiple disciplines in the certificate, you begin to see how these pieces also fit together as a whole system. So anyone who is just looking to complete the certificate because they want to advance in their career and they want to tell their employer that I have a holistic understanding of how your business operates. I now am able to comfortably speak about how the marketing team impacts what the operations does, or how the finances work with it, or how the HR is impacted by the operations part of it. You're able to more comfortably speak to all of those things because you are getting that foundational knowledge in business, which is very important. And sometimes it's very important when you have a conversation with anyone to be able to speak a little bit about everything versus just being able to speak only one thing about finance and not being able to speak about marketing or HR. So, from the perspective of job advancement, career advancement, and even job market placement, this gives you transferable skills into multiplied areas. So, really amplifying, but also creating this multiplier effect for you as a candidate into the job market. So again, the certificate and the approach that we have adopted in designing the certificate gives every learner a holistic understanding of business rather than a narrow or isolated perspective. It allows you to explore different streams, discover your interests, and better understand where they may want to specialize in the future. For some of you, this might spark an interest in areas like entrepreneurship or marketing. For others, it may lead you towards more structured fields like human resources, law, or real estate. Ultimately, the goal of the certificate is to provide you with both breadth and insight, helping you make more informed decisions about your academic pathways and career direction, while also helping you build a strong, well-rounded business foundation. So again, these are also these areas, subject areas that you see on this slide currently also mimic the specializations that are available in the part-time and full-time Bachelor of Commerce degrees. So again, we're not compromising on the integrity or the academic rigor you get and the exposure you get. You're getting a business school education. And I think that's really, really important as a takeaway. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about why choose us. Why choose the Chang School? And one of the most important things to highlight is that how easy it is for you to get started today. With an open admission policy that we have, or guidelines we have, there are no formal applications required. You can enroll directly and begin right away. This removes a significant barrier and making post-secondary education more accessible. We've also designed it purposefully that way to remove this whole process of being intimidated of, oh my God, what application process? When is the deadline? How am I going to do this? Really, again, as soon as you finish this presentation today, if you decide that you want to go ahead and enroll, please contact us and it will be as quick as ordering something through the drive-through at McDonald's. So we can make this happen, and we have designed this to remove the intimidating and daunting part of becoming part of post-secondary education and making it more accessible for every learner. In addition, the flexible online format of this certificate allows every learner to start their journey on their own terms. So whether you prefer to take one course at a time, or study, or take two courses, or take three courses, or even take full 5 courses at any given point, the program is designed to fit around your schedule. These courses are online and often asynchronous, meaning that you can actually log on and learn the material. And if there is a live session, it would typically be designed and you would be given information for that, and there would be 1 hour sessions. Ultimately, again, the purpose of the certificate and the way it has been designed is to help you learn on your own terms. So whether the goal is to complete a certificate, as we go back to our pathway slide, or to transition into a degree or build new career-ready skills, you have the flexibility and accessibility to begin whenever you are ready. This program is designed to support every learner at every stage of their journey. So whether you're exploring options, building expertise, or just simply exploring whether university is for you, this is a great stepping stone into that process. At this stage, we really encourage learners to think of their experience in 3 phases, and that is explore, specialize, and strategize. What I mean by that is the first, the exploration is a key part of it. Again, through the subject areas that you're exposed to, Many learners come in with a general interest in business, but they're not always clear or have a sense of which area is a right fit for them. Through a range of the business focused elective courses or the courses we have as part of the certificate, you have the opportunity to test different disciplines, whether that's marketing, HR, entrepreneurship, or business law, without having to commit too early or declaring a major, which you would typically need to do in a traditional degree setting or even in a certificate setting, because many of the certificates that are out there, they will say, oh, it's in a specific subject core area. This actually allows you to explore while getting that exploration of like, I'm interested in pivoting to business. Maybe I come from, let's take an example, a communications background where there was no business part of it. It was just writing and professional writing. But now I want to go into business, but I don't really know what business is. So that's where the certificate allows you to explore. So as you progress to the certificate, you will begin to identify patterns in your interests and your strengths through your academic performance, through the lectures that you attend. Which will naturally lead you into the second phase, which is allowing you to maybe figure out where you want to specialize. And that's where you can do one of two things. You can either take another certificate in your specialization area that you would like to specialize in, or you can go ahead and pursue the Bachelor of Commerce degree part-time and full-time and even specialize as a major over there. At this point, you can also focus more intentionally, selecting courses or even additional certificates, like I said, that align with your career goals or early transitioning into the degree program. So it's all about making informed decisions about your future. And again, like I said, it's about choices, but also choices that are well informed. You're supported both by your academic experience while you take these courses and the guidance you will get as you go through it. And I will touch upon it as well as you go through the certificate at the training school. So throughout all these phases, your learning is designed to be practical and applicable. You are learning and building transferable skills like critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and business acumen, all of which are very relevant even in the advent of AI. I will say this much because AI can output a lot of stuff, but AI cannot do a lot of critical thinking and a lot of assessment that the human can to determine whether this is applicable to that situation. So if I was to say, this certificate again, why it's valuable and why it's important, even more so now in 2026 than ever, it will give you an oversight, a macro view of everything that's happening in the organization and being able to comfortably help you talk about it. So the other point is the multiplier effect. I've previously touched upon it as well. A key advantage of the certificate is what we call the multiplier effect. So when certificates share overlapping courses, you can apply up to 50% of your completed credits towards a second certificate. So while you cannot simultaneously enroll into two certificates at the same time, because we would like to have learners go through one path, once you've completed something and you realize, oh, I just want to stack or build upon something, and if those courses are also in your new certificate, you can easily use 50% of them. So for an example, this certificate requires 8 courses. The next certificate you want to take in ITM requires 8 courses. If the 4 courses from your business certificate are applicable towards your next certificate, sorry, you would just need to do 4 courses in the next certificate to be able to graduate with 2 certificates. So that's the multiplier effect. So again, this creates more efficient pathways, both in time and cost, while also strengthening your academic foundations for progression into degree pathways or job market, or even specializing in a specific area that you have now developed an interest in. And again, these are very important considerations if you're thinking about strengthening your resume or pivoting into a new field. This approach ensures that every course that you take contributes to a purposeful and forward-looking learning journey, as well as a career journey. Grant and funding. We also recognize that flexibility is essential, and the program is grant and funding eligible. These are university degree credit courses, meaning they are OSAP eligible. So if you are, again, OSAP has a whole eligibility criteria, but again, with this certificate, the way it has been designed, you do have access to grant and funding as well. So both with access to both full-time and part-time financial aid options, this becomes more of a strategic choice for learners who are really looking to balance life, professional, as well as personal financial commitments. The aid options are there for you. You can also choose a pace that works for you. So if financial aid is not an option for you, you can choose one or two courses and balance it out that way as well. So it doesn't become too economically strenuous for you as well. So you can, again, with the eligibility of grants and funding through OSAP, you can balance your studies with work, family, and other commitments. So this is a key important point because education, especially now, investments into money. So not all certificates are OSAP eligible. So this is something that we wanted to highlight for anybody attending today to see if they're looking to get support for their learning, that please, we have a client support service team that would be happy to support you with that. And that leads me into my other point about client services and academic support teams. So we actually have a fully dedicated client services and academic support, including a career support team at the Chang School, where we provide guidance on course selections, credit transfers, and pathway planning. We work closely with each of our learners to help them understand their opinions and help them make informed decisions based on their prior learning and future goals. So let's say if you are somebody who has taken previously a credit at a college or at another university and you stopped, you did not attend that, but you completed that credit, you may be eligible for a transfer credit by using that transfer credit towards the certificate even. And that's where the client services team comes in, and they're happy to support you and help you with that as well and guide you through the process of what that would look like. Um, and again, this whole experience has been designed with you in mind, and it has been designed to be flexible, supportive, and strategically aligned with what a learner's academic and professional and career aspirations may look like. So when I say why choose us because we have designed something keeping you, the learner, in mind, and not just put a certificate out there that does not speak to the different choices people want and different stages of lives they are. Next slide, please. So if we were to talk about the program highlights, this certificate is built around 8 required courses, which provide a strong and well-rounded foundation in business. What is especially important to highlight is that these 8 courses are not standalone. They're intentionally aligned with the first-year Bachelor of Commerce curriculum at Ted Rogers School of Management at Toronto Metropolitan University, where there are 10 core course requirements. This means that learners are completing a significant portion of first-year degree requirements through the certificate, especially if that's the pathway you're looking to explore. As a result, for those considering transitioning into the BCom program, this creates a clear opportunity for advanced standing. Learners are not starting over, they're building momentum and carrying forward recognized credits into the degree. I would say this is very attractive for anybody who is already in a full-time job in the field of business or an aspect of the business field. And they're simply looking to come and do their degree, but are professionals and they don't have the time to continue to go through this process of it. This certificate is a great pathway, and a lot of learners do it this way. We have a lot of successful learners who have actually taken the certificate, who are professionals, who are anywhere from like late 20s to even mid 30s, who have taken this pathway and are now on the way to completing their degrees because that's what they need to be able to move into bigger, higher paying boardroom jobs. So that flexibility, again, has been designed for people depending on where they are in their learner and professional journey. So through these courses that you take, the 8 courses that you take, you are introduced to key areas of business, including accounting, economics, human resources, information systems management, marketing, business law, and global management, where you're developing both foundational knowledge and practical and transferable skills. Another key advantage, again, as I've mentioned, is the multiplier effect that you can use towards another certificate, allowing you to efficiently earn additional credentials, deepen your specialization, and expand your skill set without duplicating coursework. Equally important is how the certificate positions you as a learner within the TMU ecosystem. So as a Chang School student, you are already part of the university community. So there is really no push and pull when it comes to transfer credits. So if you are looking to move to a different certificate, or if you are simply looking to move into the part-time or full-time degree, you will be able to seamlessly transfer your credits over, and they are recognized internally. It creates a seamless and integrated pathway into further certificates or degree programs for anybody that is interested in not just completing, but also continuing on with their learning journey. Overall, the structure is designed to do more than deliver courses. It creates a connected, efficient, and future-focused academic journey, supporting learners as they build towards their long-term educational and career goals. One of the things I want to emphasize on is the TMU ecosystem. As we spoke about TMU ecosystem is quite large. And what I mean by that is you have access to your um, career services, Indigenous student support services, and a lot of other resources as well. So again, I hope this has been helpful in helping you decide and sort of get a sense of that the certificate is really designed for every learner, no matter where you are in your career journey. And again, by creating this open admission policy, hopefully, the next step, as soon as you finish this session, you will be clicking on that enrollment button. I really want to thank you again, and I'll pass it over to Mashur.
Thank you, Neha, for that amazing overview. I think we just have one more slide left for the quick recap. If we could just share that. Yep, the next one.
Sure. So we are just going to briefly touch upon this again. I've already mentioned it in extensive details. This is anybody who's a working professional who's looking or to enhance or shift your career, whether you are looking individuals who are looking to prepare for a future degree, previously in your past life stopped a degree, couldn't finish it, and are now looking to restart that journey, but are daunted by going into full-time, part-time degree. Or if you're just simply looking to explore and seek clarity on what business education looks like and whether this is for you, and take university level courses to really get an understanding of what this is all about. And this is also a very meaningful way for any learner who's on this call today who's missed an admission deadline or are not yet accepted into a degree program. So rather than taking a timeout or a stop down, you can actually continue on with the pursuit of getting into a program of your choice by completing and enrolling in the certificate. And again, I want to highlight one thing that is really important for individuals that want to be OSAP eligible. You have to register in the certificate in order to be OSAP eligible. So please keep that in mind as you progress through your journey of just deciding whether you should enroll in the certificate. Sorry, next slide, please, Mashur. So again, we've covered a lot in detail already in terms of the versatility the certificate offers and the functional areas that you will be learning. But again, just to recap, rather than training you for a single narrow role, this program, the certificate builds on broad and transferable foundational skills in business. That means that every graduate of ours is not limited to one path. They have the flexibility to pivot across roles, functions, and even industries without having to start over. So for those who are already employed, this becomes a strategic advantage if you're looking to grow within your current organization or simply amplify your existing experience, you can actually move forward. Next slide, please. And just a quick recap. This certificate is fully online, asynchronous, and flexible. There are some exams that are in person, but please do not worry. If you are more than 100 kilometers away from us, we do have the ability to help you coordinate exams closer to you. This can be done within 8 months or even up to 2 years. Again, at your pace, however you would like it. The cost is between 5,800 to 5,900. Grant and OSAP eligible. Please remember you must enroll in the certificate to be able to apply for grants and OSAP. And you just need an OSSD, or if you're a mature student who has not even completed their GED or OSSD, you're also welcome to be a part of the certificate. Hopefully we have some time for Q&A now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for finishing that up, Neha, and providing such a really good overview about all the options and how flexible this certificate is. We do have some time for Q&A, so I'll open it up for everyone who's here to see if there are some questions. So we've got one question that's come in is how math heavy is the program? I see some co courses that that might demand it. So yeah, if you want to answer.
my mic wasn't mute. So thank you so much for that question. And that's a very, very good question. And I think, again, this is the perfect place if you're daunted by math to start off, because in addition to just being part of taking the university credit courses that you would take, these are all first year courses that you would be taking, you get support. We have student learning support services at TMU. And again, this is the advantage of being part of the TMU ecosystem that you would actually get advantage of. So we have math tutors on campus. Each of ours, let's say the economics course you decide to take, there is economics help centers for that as well that you can go and get support for. We also have learning strategists on campus that can absolutely help you on how to do well in these courses. For somebody who's actually studied economics or mathematics and finance, I will say this much. Please don't be daunted by the math, because the way the math of any of these courses is designed and taught is almost at the very foundational level. You're going to learn how to think about math concepts in a critical way rather than let's solve multiple complex equations. So please don't be daunted by that. It's something that is very manageable. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you for sharing
yeah.
that. There's always some math scary, so thanks for calming those fears. Next question is about TRSM pathway. The question is TRSM pathway guaranteed? I don't know how much you
Yeah,
can maybe
sure,
explain.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
So, of course, with the fact that you're completing a business management certificate, which is very much considered a pathway towards the BCom part-time and full-time degree, you have to remember that you are applying. You still have to go through the application process, and your academic performance in these courses will be reviewed in order to determine your eligibility. The credits are all transferable, of course, should you be accepted into the BCom program. Um, but we cannot speak to the admissions that this is a guaranteed, because let's just say one learner takes this business management certificate and learner two also decides to take the same certificate, but learner A gets all B's and the other one gets F's and D's. Well, of course, academic performance is going to be perceived to determine whether you're eligible based on your performance. So hopefully that answers that question there. Um,
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Next one is what happens if a required course isn't offered in a semester that they want to enroll in?
Sure. We often try to, so as what you will notice is that each of the courses that are in the certificate are not necessarily building on prerequisites. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily need to take one course to take the other. They're freestanding alone courses. So the number of courses that are required in the certificate and the number of offerings we have, you have the flexibility of being able to take whatever you would like and in that term. And if you go to our certificate page, what you will see is that we have quite an extensive list of courses, but only 8 are required. So I think that's a really important question, and thank you for asking that, because that really helps learners sort of pick and choose. We don't want to restrict you, and we want to stay true to our word of being flexible for you, of course, and that's why it's there. So let's just say if you wanted to start with GMS 200 today, you could take that. We're offering it starting May. We're also offering practically, if you go to our certificate page, all of the courses are being offered for the upcoming spring and summer term.
Awesome. And I know we had a question from Ruben. Thank you for your question, Ruben. And Dave very nicely answered it. I just want to share it with everybody else. I'll just read the answer out. The question was Ruben has an bachelor's degree in Mexico, but is a permanent resident here. What can he do to enroll? And, it's an open admission program, like you mentioned as well, Neha. And you can simply self-register in the certificate and self-enroll in the course following the instructions that he provided with that link. And these instructions are the same for students that are domestic, permanent residents, or a citizen here. So yeah,
Goes back to the flexibility, Ruben. You don't need to have anything to really enroll in it. We want to make education accessible for everyone. So thank you for answering that question. We have another question here, Mashur,
yeah.
that says, are there case competitions or hands-on learning opportunities? I would like to say this, that this certificate is very much designed for learners in different aspects of their life, different stages of their life. So many of the learners might already be working professionals who are taking the certificate, while we have young adults who went to college, thought it wasn't for them, want to go to university and want to experiment, you definitely have that same experience of being in the university and taking a university credit course. I think there are other opportunities that you can definitely get involved in. We have a Chang School Student Union as well that often puts on events, so on and so forth. But you're a part of the TMU ecosystem. So if you come down to like campus, there are events that are pretty much open for anybody to, part of the TMU community to attend. You can attend program sessions and info sessions that are being organized at the Ted Rogers School of Business Management, as long as they're free and open and accessible to TMU community. So just a small example, we've had students from Faculty of Arts go and attend a conference at at TRSM. So there is that because you're part of the TMU ecosystem. Okay. I was a previous
Okay.
grad in BSW, however, it was when you were called Ryerson, would you or could any courses be transferred for the certificate program from that degree or my MSW degree, though from another university? Thank you for asking that question, Andrew. Yes, of course, we recognize prior like a recognition learning, of course, but I think it is a very specific question to each learner. Our client services team would need to review your transcripts and support you with that to determine what courses would be transferable from your degree previously that you completed formally at Ryerson. So you may have taken some elective courses from your table two or table threes, if you can remember what I'm talking about, Andrew. They just might be transferable. So we will have to look at your transcript to determine whether they would be there or not. Yes, Dave.
I just wanted to, pardon me, add to that a little bit in terms of, and just to clarify, like we can assist with the with guidance on that. Ultimately, all transfer credits are actually assessed by the transfer credit office at TMU. So there are comprehensive instructions on their page for actually applying for transfer credits. I would just say that um, to add to Neha's point, it's like with business management, these courses tend to be fairly the titles tend to be consistent across institutions. So microeconomics one is going to be microeconomics here, this kind of thing. So you can kind of infer um, to a certain degree, yeah, to a certain extent, if courses would be transferable just based on the course titles. Like it's obviously there's some exceptions there, but like introduction to accounting, etc. Um, you're not going to have specifically in the case of the certificate because it is so focused. You wouldn't be able to transfer like a social work course towards it, just to make that clear. But in terms of the degree, as Neha was saying, there may be some electives where you open electives and such where you could use non-business courses. But for the most part, for the core curriculum, it's somewhat intuitive. You can look at the course titles across institutions and see if there would be a chance there, and then follow up with the transfer credit office directly for assistance with that.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Deb. Andrew, I want to thank you for coming back to Chang School, for coming back to TMU as a returning learner to, take more courses from here. And again, the advantage is somebody from the client services team would be, or they would be able to connect you with that to look at your transcript while you were here completing your bachelor's of social work to see what you took in your elective courses to see if there's that overlap. And the transferability would be dependent upon that. But thank you so much for coming back to us. We greatly appreciated that.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that answer, and then thanks for adding to that, Dave. Okay, so it looks like currently we don't have any more open questions. Um, yeah, so before I wrap up, I'd like to thank Neha for walking us through the certificate, sharing how it can support professional growth in this field. Neha, we really appreciate your time and insights. It's been incredibly helpful for everyone joining us, and thank you, Dave, as well for adding in the insights to some of the questions that were asked. To everyone attending, thank you for being here. And thank you for your thoughtful engagement with the polls and being with us during lunch hour. If there are no further questions, we'd go ahead and conclude our session. If you're interested in learning more about the certificate or enroll any of the courses, you can visit our website at continuing.torontomu.ca, or you can email us with the email email of ce@torontomu.ca, or you can email me directly at mash.chaudhry@torontomu.ca. All of the information in the presentation and a recording of this session with a survey will be sent to you in a follow-up email within the next 24 to 48 hours. And on behalf of the Chang School, our guest speaker, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of the day.